recording, and over to Facebook to get ready.
My Spider-Man, my Miles Morales. It was like 100.
What I will do is put it on the
Transitions.
It's good volume, right?
Oh no, it's a starting swim screen.
What up, headbangers? How you doing? I'm Rob O'Day, and welcome to the greasiest of all time. Today we're chilling with ammo from my arsenal out of San Antonio, Texas. How are you guys doing?
Hola. Yo.
Why don't you introduce yourselves and let us know how you guys got the band together?
Mark on bassist. Chong, drummer. Caleb, guitarist.
Jason, other guitarist,
Orlando, vocalist. One of the vocalists.
and we have Randy. He's also the other vocalist. He's not here.
Yeah, that's cool. I noticed that you guys had two vocalists. That's super unique.
Yes.
Yeah, he's off fighting crime right now somewhere.
Yes.
Nice.
Not supposed to disclose, but
How,
wait, fuck! I just gave away his secret identity.
How long have you guys been a band?
We've been a band for about 8-9 years. We've
Oh,
as far as this
longer than
lineup goes,
about 5 years.
about 5 years with this current lineup.
Okay.
The band longer than that. I think like 11.
Oh, what's that? Cricket.
No worries. Your guys' your last release, the one that I seen on Spotify, Somehow I Manage. How was that process in recording it?
The process for the recording was it was pretty good. We actually decided that we were going to go ahead and do 2 songs off our upcoming album, but we wanted to kind of give our listeners, our fans, people that support us something to listen to. So we did Somehow I Manage, and it's kind of like a 2-song thing, and Me Seeks and Destroys the other half of that.
Okay. Are you guys in the midst of working on anything right now?
Yeah, we actually just finished recording and finally got everything taken care of as far as the tracks themselves.
Oh, sweet.
New album.
When are you planning on
Just
dropping
do
that?
press about it.
Pardon?
We're working on getting the actual physical copies to people first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sick. Before you release it online.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
You're very smart. I mean, that's kind of the best bet and the best way to do it nowadays, I find, is when
Sir.
it's just it's easier, you know. Then you don't have to worry about the stress of hustling the sales after it's been put online, right? So I definitely see a lot of bands doing that, and I think it's really smart, especially with the way things are now, like with singles being such a big hit, I guess you could say.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
How had
Yeah, we're actually gonna.
Oh, go ahead.
We normally do our stuff on CD and stuff like that, but we're actually going to release it for the first time. We're going to do a vinyl. Um, we
hell
did
yeah.
have some 70s that we did with Kingside,
Mhm.
but this is going to be like our first like full album on vinyl. So we're pretty excited about that.
That is wicked. That's really cool because I don't know. I personally think vinyl's the shit. I think I think it
Yeah.
needs to come back because I don't know. There's just something beautiful about a vinyl. Even CDs were cool, but like a vinyl just looks sexy. You know what I mean? When you look at it, you're like,
Yeah,
dang.
yeah.
When that record spin, you just love it. You know what I mean?
Hmm. How has COVID affected you guys? Now I know you're open. That Texas is open now for shows.
Well, I mean, the whole entire pandemic, we pretty much stayed busy. We found ways to kind of work around all that. Of course, staying safe and trying not to have people that come out to our shows in an unsafe environment. Um, Shows were at least at bars weren't really happening because all the bars got shut down, but there was still venues that were operating, and they basically just had guidelines. Tables were separated. You had to wear masks, temperature checks when you get to the door. But as far as COVID, man, to be honest with you, other than the bars getting shut down and the studio getting shut down for a little bit, it really didn't really slow us down. We kept busy the whole entire time. There was a place called the Noise Factory that gave us an opportunity to go out there and go ahead and do some like studio sessions in their studio to help promote our band and stay active while the pandemic is going on.
It was like a live session.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
that really helped us out a lot too, just
It
because
did.
we had a lot of new music that was coming out and
Mhm.
got to push it with that. And it was great. It was a fun session.
Kept a little momentum going with that.
Yeah, the vinyl that we're working on right now was supposed to be released last year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
because of the studio got shut down because of the COVID, that's why it got pushed back. So we were really trying to be busy. So we had these shows, and then the live session really helped us a lot. But yeah,
Yeah, like live streaming your performances is a really cool thing. I think it's almost a like just like doing a DVD. You know, like I love when bands do those DVD performances. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
like as a kid, I used to buy tons of band DVDs and just like that was my favorite thing was watching them live. Even if it
or
was
like when you get the deluxe edition of a CD and it had that extra CD that had the
Big
live, the live
Yeah.
performances.
Yeah, big records, stuff like that. Hell yeah.
right. Like I don't know. I find that there's not a lot of appreciation for that anymore,
Yeah.
which
I
is
think it's just something about capturing that live performance, the energy. It's a different feel than just hearing something on the CD. You know, I mean,
hmm
CD is perfection and everything like that. A live performance, there's just a different energy. It's
Raw.
just more raw. There's no production involved in it. So it's basically as close to a live performance as you can get without actually physically being there and experiencing it in person.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, especially nowadays where you can't be up close and personal.
Yeah.
Like our bass player and our co-host Norman, he bought tickets for the Lamb of God last year, like Lamb of God's concert that they put on when they were live streaming it. And I mean, it was badass as fuck, but at the same time, it was like I just wish I could be right there, you know. So it
It
almost
still doesn't match the same energy.
yeah, like you don't get to feel the sweat or the heat of the crowd, or the like the mosh pit.
You
Like
know,
it's just
Yeah.
something good about that.
Yep. But that full experience, you're not fully immersed like you would be actually in person.
I want to get punched in the face.
Yeah, no, exactly, right.
my bad. I was
No,
on. I'm sorry.
it's a very true thing though. Like, there's something magical about a mosh pit and watching it from the stage.
Yeah.
You know, like even when you get to just like watch, there's no like angry faces. There's nothing but smiles. And I know,
Yes.
like when I saw Slipknot, I tackled the biggest guy I could see. I straight like cannonballed into him, and took him down.
Yeah.
And I helped him out, and I was like, I accepted death at that point. I was like, this guy's gonna fucking kill me. You know what I mean? But he just looked at me and he's like, I didn't think you could take me down. And he gave me a shot to the shoulder, and we just went back to moshing. And I was like, that's what I love about metalheads. Like, you can't get
Yeah.
that anywhere else. And I think that,
It's all in good fun, you know. Everybody knows it's
Community.
yes, community.
mhm.
That's it.
And I know that Texas has probably the strongest metal community for the underground.
That's right. Yeah.
Compared to
Definitely.
anywhere else that I've talked to, Texas is by far the greatest that I've heard, and it's like top place I want to tour at this point, because the fact that the scene is so strong and dedicated, and you have such good teamwork, I guess to say. Like you have bands like Upon a Burning Body, and they're willing to help locals. You know what I mean? And I think that needs to happen
Mhm.
more.
Yeah, they've helped us out a bunch of
Yep.
times. They, we've been able to open up and stuff for them a couple times here. And Ruben's actually shooting a lot of music videos for a lot of the bands around,
Yep.
around NRC. So yeah, it's definitely
He's definitely branched
badass
out,
to have those.
and it's smart,
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
especially
It's that
now,
Texas hospitality.
yeah.
Hmm.
And I mean, the bands out of Texas are fucking crazy good. Like every single one
Oh yeah.
I've heard is just absolutely insane. So it's kind of cool to see how one scene is so strong and the music coming out of it is so diverse yet so unique. And it's cool to see because there's such a powerhouse coming out of Texas right now. And I'm curious to see what else there is coming out of the states now because of COVID.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a lot that's been going on behind closed doors that we're still all yet to see, from anyone and everyone. And it's just one of those things where people have been able to sit back and hone their craft, and
Utilize that time.
utilize
to
that time to
stuff
be
and-
extremely creative. They could take more time than they typically would have versus trying to rush to put something out. They realize now that they have a little bit more time to sit back, especially people that have been affected, with work. If they've been off of work, they've been having a little bit more extra time to go and sit and, you know, write guitar parts for, majority of the day instead of a couple hours after work, or as a band collectively get together and just, creatively come together with whatever it is that they can at this point. It's kind of it's a gift and a curse at the same time.
Yep.
In a way, it's for some people it's a blessing in disguise just because of the fact that they now have more of an opportunity to create something that they love versus it was kind of a secondary thing. They could devote more time and attention to it.
Yeah, no, and that's very true. And I think that is the blessing behind um, COVID is realistically the whole world got to sit back and relax and take a deep breath. And I think that it's what it needed because, as you've seen in the last year, especially in America, there's been so much movement. You know what I mean? Like so many different movements that are being backed and that are so strong and they have a message, you know what I mean? And then you see a lot of different ones that are like cancel culture and stuff like that, where they have the power to make a change, but they're not quite doing the right change they should be making. And there's a lot of movement going on in the world, and there's a huge movement going on in the music industry and underground bands getting that exposure now due to COVID. Because with the industry itself crashing and major labels not being able to make money off of their top tier bands, I guess you could say, it
Yeah,
opened up
so
a shitload of room and an open space for us emerging bands that are, we've been busting our ass off, but just couldn't get there. Now that there's no professional competition, I guess you could say, with higher tier bands because they're taking a back burner because no one can perform and they're based on touring their entire income. So emerging
Yep.
bands
And I
didn't.
feel, I feel for those bands that are like really out there with their sign that they make a living off of just touring and they can't do that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
fortunate for us, we work like full time jobs and then we do the band thing, so we have some income. I can't even imagine being in a position where the musicians they're supporting their family and they can't even make a living. To me, it's intense.
Yeah, I interviewed a band from Finland, and some of the major bands that, like, Finland's a really tight knit community too, kind of like Texas. Like all the bands know each other. Even the big bands come to the little bands and support. And some of the major Finnish metal bands that we all like look up to have sold their equipment because they can't afford rent. And that's a really sad concept to think about.
Yeah.
Because, like,
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Especially, for them, it's something they love doing. That's not only their career, but it's a passion as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at some point in their life, they've gotten to this point where they've made it, and so they're doing what they love as a career.
Okay, time out, time out. This is getting way too serious for me. Starting to get really sad here. Let's change it up.
No, that's it's so it is very true that it is sad, but there's a lot of benefit coming out of it because pre-COVID we had a major flood of bands on Spotify, YouTube. COVID kind of hit the brakes on a lot of those bands that were just for show versus the bands that were dedicated to their craft. And it also made us stop and think, like, why do we do this? Like, why do we love this? Because at some point over the career, you tend to forget that initial message that you had as a child that made you love music. You know what I mean? Like, what initially made you want to grow as a musician over the years of work, turning it into a career. You almost forget that, and COVID kind of gave us that back because we could sit back and be like, damn, like, how much do I really love this? Because I could stop right now, or I could bust
What I think
ass
that
and
is too is people quarantining, being more in just quarantining and being more at home, being more in touch with their actual emotions, and realizing that like, hey, this is all polished. This is designed to just sell versus like bands, local bands, or even smaller bands, just getting that raw emotion out there, living their everyday lives, living that, and actually writing about it. People will really wanted to relate to that more, especially during the quarantine, versus songs that are just hits. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think that it's also a really nice time for the music because the music also has like a huge message coming out right now, which I don't I don't know, but most music nowadays, besides metal, like the pop music, doesn't really have a message. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, drink, party, shake your ass, but like the music that's coming from the underground is really powerful. Like it's
Really,
uniting. There's a lot of power behind it, and it's almost. I think after like the next 6 months to a year, I think like people will appreciate music like they did when Woodstock was around, where that love for music, where they just genuinely care about it. It's not just like something they can do and walk down the street and go get 10 bands. You know what I mean? They'll genuinely appreciate it and go watch shows now after being unable to watch shows. Like I think everybody regrets their last concert, whether we were performing or at one, because if we would have known that that was our last show, we probably would have went 10 times harder.
yeah.
So I find it, I know that people from the shows that I've heard that have
Caleb would
been
have
going
fucking
on,
said again.
Oops. Yeah.
it's so from
I
the
mean, it's cliche as hell, but you don't know what you have until it's gone.
exactly right.
It's again super cliche, but you can't explain it better than that.
Yeah, and especially for musicians, because like I think we all kind of took it for granted. None of us, a lot of, not all of us, but a lot of bands didn't really look at it the way they should have. You know, they like it's a business. It is a business, and that's what me. I'm super thankful for COVID because it made me have to realize that and turn it into a business, turn it into a brand, and learn how to market properly, how to network with things. Because before I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have thought about that. I would have just been playing and expecting, oh, I'm gonna get picked up because of my music. You got to put a
Mhm.
little more in than just playing, and I think that during COVID, that kind of made us. It forced us to become more independent than we were before, and I think that that's a great thing.
Yeah, you had to adapt to the way
Mhm.
things were changing. I mean, I know the first time we actually got to go back and play a show when all the COVID stuff first started happening. I mean, it was pretty crazy going to a show and having to wear a mask and having to like socially distance from people and seeing all our fans sitting at tables instead of standing up and pushing each other and fucking getting crazy. And I know as a performer, being on stage and seeing everybody getting crazy and moshing, that's part of what fuels my energy on stage. But
It's
having to
perpetual.
having to adapt to that and just realizing like, hey, you know what? I'm just happy and grateful that I'm actually able to play a show. I'm on a stage. Some of the bands that I look up to are right now chilling and they can't do anything, and I'm actually able to get on stage and perform. And there's actually people here. It's not the same, but
Yeah.
I definitely felt like it definitely opened my eyes a lot to see things a lot differently and appreciate it a lot more.
Because I mean, that this whole COVID, it really like hit the promoters, everybody in the music scene. It's ridiculous, man. It's bad. So shout out to all the promoters and the venues that try to keep it. You know what I'm saying? Try to keep it going. Without them, none of this shit would be impossible. So
Mm-hmm. No, it's very
True.
true. And especially like the sound guys for the big shows and
oh yeah,
lighting. Like there's a ton of people that in the industry that kind of lost everything, but now that it's opening up, it's hopeful, and I think that it's gonna boom, and I'm really excited for it because I think the underground metal scene deserves its shining light. I think it's time for it to be appreciated for what it is, because man, there are some incredible bands out there, and I don't think that people even realize it because they're just so focused on the top metal bands, like
What's hot,
yeah, what's popular in pop music,
what's
but with
trending? You know, they all,
yeah, like I don't know, I'm not a huge Gojira fan. I'll be honest, and I know a lot of people that are
oh,
like all over Gojira, and I'm like, okay, but
oh yeah.
I get
Yeah, I
it.
was like, hold up, hold up, hey,
hot.
That's like one of the bands that do like.
oh yeah.
No, and I appreciate their music. It's just I don't know how to describe it. I appreciate it.
The drummers are sick. That's why.
I appreciate for what they are, their talent, their skill, but I find that I've always been the type of person that if a band's really popular, I don't want to listen to them. I don't know
That's
why.
exactly like me.
Right? Like, I don't know why. I just kind of like having my special little things that are like, oh, that's my treasure. So I think that's why I love the underground versus like major bands. Like I have my favorite bands like In Flames and Arch Enemy and tons of other bands, but I've grown such an appreciation for the underground over COVID that I don't even think I'd ever go back. Like I have such an addiction now for looking for the next band that's good. And it's like there's so many bands out there that I would rather listen to that are underground than major at this point. Like that's how I see it. And I think that the underground is at it's at this just it's just peaking to be bigger. Like the bands in the underground are slowly going to get bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where we're going to be hosting our own festivals and putting on our own festivals because we have our own separate music industry, I guess you could say. Like you'll have the major one that sells all the big concerts and tickets and all that crazy shit, but then I feel like we're going to create our own with the underground independent labels and the movements that's happening underground. I think we're going to create our own industry itself, and there's going to be two separate industries, and ours will rise, and we'll actually be able to be professional musicians, I guess you could say, where we can live off of it because people appreciate it again. It's not just taken for granted. So I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a cool thing, and you guys are like you're open and performing and ready for it. So it's kind of like you guys get to see the first hand of the new revolution of music, and it's cool to talk to bands from Texas because you guys are hosting a lot of shows. You know what I mean? Like, and it's wicked. It's inspiring because it's almost like yes, things will open up. We will get to play. Hell yeah, I'm stoked. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So
It feels great. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong.
like I can only imagine. Like I vicariously live through all the bands I'm watching on Facebook because like they've got like friends live streaming their performances, and I'm just like, oh my god, like Cauterized. I watched Alex the other day. He's like, I couldn't step on the table, so I stood on the extra stool, and I'm like, I know
Yeah,
you want to stand on that table so bad right now, bro. So I don't know. It gives me like goosebumps. I'm so happy to see things opening up, and I'm so excited because it's inspiring, especially after all the shit that we've dealt with in the past year and a half. I think that it needs to open, and I can't wait for it to open.
Oh yeah.
So your guys are in the midst of you just finished off your EP that you said you were talking about. Is it a full length or an EP?
It's kind of in between. There's like what
10 songs?
8 songs,
Eight songs?
8 songs and an intro. Yeah, we just finished it, and we're like I said, we're just trying to get the vinyl situation pressed. It's our first time doing it, so we're trying to
Yeah.
get the whole process taken care of.
We
Yeah,
just want to make sure we do it right
Yeah.
too. So that's
But 2 of the songs, somehow I Manage and Me Seeks and Destroy are going to be on that, and then 6 new songs that we haven't released.
we actually have 2 songs that are on the album that we did the live studio session with on Noise Factory. One's called Sidious, the other one's called Thought Bomb. And those are some of our favorites to play. So
Yeah.
those are definitely cool songs on the album. We can't wait to release.
That's awesome. I love that feeling, but I hate that feeling at the same time where you're like, shit's done, ready to release, and then all of a sudden it's like we can't say a damn thing for like 8 months or 8 weeks. It's like fuck, because like you've already sessioned the song so many times, you're already tired of them. You just want other people to hear them, and then you got to wait even longer. But I mean, patience
Yeah.
is the game of a musician. It is by far our biggest enemy is patience, because most bands just want to kill it hard and go fast. But in reality, you just gotta like be very patient and wait for the opportunities.
That's smart about it.
I'm excited.
Like me personally, I'm not tired of the songs at all. I could listen to them and play them and over and over and over and over again. I don't know, the feeling I get from the songs, to me personally, I love them.
Like
Still.
these new songs that we're playing, I really like them a lot. I guess because every time we play them, Jason over here twerks to them all the time. So like it just inspires me to keep playing it.
Yeah, he twerks pretty hard.
Yeah,
Pretty freaking hard, bro.
That's true.
Look at us.
You guys are awesome. No, I mean shit. Whatever sells,
It makes it even more metal.
right? If it gets the girls excited to join the pit, then shit.
Yes.
That's awesome. So your guys' local scene is amazing, and I know that. So how is your crowd when you guys perform?
I think we have a pretty growing. It's starting to grow more.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of bands that are from our scene, a lot of them chose to not really perform, and there was like out of the 30, let's say there's 30 bands, only like 15 or 10 of us were actually still performing during COVID and all that. But so some people that just wanted to go to shows kind of made their way to some of the shows that we were on, and we got to meet a lot of new fans. And you know, just this past weekend, we met a whole bunch of new people that came out that we never seen before, and they just came out to check out all the bands in general. They weren't really there for a certain band or anything. They were there just to
Get
actually
out.
be able to get out and
Live
go to a
music.
show. So
That's dope.
the fan base is definitely growing, man.
That's awesome. I think that's one of my favorite things is seeing a new fan, like a new person you've never seen at a
Exactly,
show,
yeah.
and then their face light up during your set. That's like the greatest feeling.
That's something I love seeing is when I'm on stage playing and just looking out at the crowd and gauging their reaction and seeing the excitement in their face that they get, you know, when we hit certain parts or when we do certain things live, you know. And second to that, when we finish playing, they come up and you just say, "Hey man, you guys killed it up there. It was a badass fucking set. You know, you guys are awesome." They come over to the merch table, buy stuff, and it's really awesome because it's a fulfillment that you get because it's very humbling, yes. But it's a fulfillment you get because not only being up on stage is an
But having
experience
someone
within
appreciate
itself.
it, right?
Just being up there alone is really awesome. But then when you have someone come up and tell you that they enjoy seeing what you enjoy doing, it's kind of like, you know, it just puts it over the top and it just puts a huge smile on my face and it just makes me feel even better about what we're doing, you know?
Yeah, I always make it a point to go and I always make it a point to go up there and try to talk to some of those people that I notice, you know, that are headbanging or
Yes.
they're
we'll
like,
reach out.
oh, you know,
We have
making
to.
that oh face because we hit this certain part and they really like it. You know, I always try to make a point to go up to those people and remember them and go give them stickers or try to give them something so that way they can go home with something to remember us by. You know.
Yeah, I have actually two friends that I met that way. They always came to always just I would always see them at shows every time, and I mean I've been performing for 20 years now, so like a good 15 years I've watched them come to shows almost, and I'm like, we're friends now, and I'm like, you guys are the best. Like, thank you so. I like thought about it the other day, and I thanked them. It's like, you guys, thank you for so much support. Like, it's crazy how long you followed me in the music that we do, and you supported every single like venture I went with. So it's kind of cool when you make those fans that are genuine, and they respect you as an
Yep.
artist, and they love you for what you do.
Like, we have a couple of fans that'll drive a couple hours from Uvalde
Right.
just to make it over here
And I
to
think
see us play.
and that's
And literally, we're the only reason they're coming to see play, you know?
yeah.
And
No, it's
really
so
awesome.
true. It's very true, and I think that's the best part of having fans like that is most bands think that they need a million dedicated fans. You know, like, oh, we need a million likes. We need you realistically, you need 1,000 fans that will do that. That'll
Yeah.
pay $100 a year, $200 a year on merch and tickets, and realistically, that's all you need. So,
Good
I
diehards.
yeah, and I mean, Facebook is our venue right now. Realistically, like we're not performing, but we can still mingle with the crowd and say thank you, and get them to come to our merch table, kind of a thing. So, I think social media is very good for that, being able to network. Because I mean, I've met a ton of bands and networked with a ton of bands now, and I'm excited to know that I can go perform with them. You know what I mean? Like any town that I've basically talked to somebody, I can go perform in, and we've built that friendship. And I think that used to happen a while ago, like in the global music scene, where bands networked with each other and helped work side by side to gain a following together instead of like competing against each other. Because I noticed, and I hear a lot of the time, that there's a lot of bands that will perform and then go outside and sit at their van while the other band's playing, kind of a thing. You know, like they're not in the crowd with the fans, kind of a thing. And I used to see that all the time when I grew up. Was like the other bands would be pushing the crowd to go harder. So I find that a lot of the music industries, the metal scene, has kind of been divided in the past 10 years. Then that's why I mentioned that, like, Texas it's something to look forward to and look up to, because your guys' scene is so tight that it's kind of it's inspiring. So there is a huge change happening, and I find that there's a lot more bands networking due to COVID, like on Facebook groups and live streaming with other bands and stuff. And I find it exactly what we need at the exact perfect time, because things are about to open up again. We're all about to start performing. We need to network with each other. We need to make those band friends. I guess it's the easiest way to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I find it's really cool to see, like, the metal groups online, where I find most of the bands, because they'll see a post and they'll message me, and there's a ton of support. And the more bands that I find, the more bands that I interview too, like, you see the other bands that I've interviewed supporting them too. So it kind of just like becomes this mutual, everyone's helping each other thing. And I like to see that.
Yeah.
I think that's it's where we need to start to get the scene back to where it was. And I think we also need to worry about under, like, all ages, because I notice a lot of bands, which is, I'm definitely at fault for this for years, is I focused on booking bars instead of booking all ages. And I think that that's where a lot of my fault in my music career went down. Like, where I made it to a certain point and couldn't get past that point. It's because they didn't have that fan base. And I think that that's the fan base. Because I remember when I was a kid, I would hitchhike to shows to go see a band. You know what I mean?
Fuck yeah, dude.
That's when you're actively seeking out more, because you're just learning about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I did about
That's-
going to fucking shows when I was a kid. dude.
Yeah, and that's where you're building that love, and you're really interested in discovery.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're looking for the next band that's really just gonna blow you away, and you find somebody else. You're like, who's next? Who's next? That's how I was when I was that age, and I was just trying to reach.
Fuck, man, I'm 30 and I
more
still
and
do
more.
that.
I loved it.
I'm 30 and I'm still addicted to finding the newest band like that. And I'd probably, if I didn't have a license, I'd be hitchhiking out to shows. That'll never change. And I think that there's a lot of younger kids that have that passion for music. They just don't know where to find it,
Yeah.
because they'll what's trending to kids is a very real thing versus what's trending to us. So
Yeah, it's completely different.
yeah, and trying to market to the younger audience is really hard. I find the younger audience isn't on Facebook, YouTube. They're on TikTok and Twitch. And
see, we have the benefit now of.
That's why we got to get one of our songs on fucking Fortnite, bro.
Damn right.
right?
And see, we now have the benefit versus when we were young of the internet. You know, you can instantly just go out, put out a post, this on all the social media, and you're out there, you're exposing yourself, you know, and now it's so much easier. You know, back then when I was younger, you had to go to the music stores, you know, or you had to go to somewhere when they released the new CDs and find out what's new. You couldn't just go online and see what's hot, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot more of a availability for a younger audience. So it also makes it a little bit easier, but at the same time, there's also more of a saturation. So
Yeah.
there's more to go through.
Hey, did our other singer just walk off camera now? I think our other singer just went to go fight crime as well with our other
Other
vocalist.
singer,
Our
yeah.
other
You
vocalist.
got to back up the stress call.
So we'll
No,
call them a dynamic duo.
right? No, it's a very true thing. It's very true that there's a lot of good to appealing towards the younger crowd, and I think that that'll open up. I think that that's key, appealing to the younger crowd because, like, I mean, yeah, they don't understand real music, but it's also because they just don't know where to get it. And I think that my biggest fear is kids in 5 years won't know what a guitar is. You know what I mean? Because they're so like what they're shown on the shows they're given is electronic music,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
like they don't. There's not a lot of kids being embraced to bands. Like I remember the first time I saw Bob Marley's face, I was like 6 years old, and Bob Marley's face, I knew who Bob Marley was before I knew who Jesus was, like 100%.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, so for me, it was the musicians were always like a very key thing in my upbringing. In music, real music. Like my mom's a blues singer, so she like used to sing like Tracy Chapman and Janis Joplin, and she like wails. So like I grew up on really good music, and I'm worried that that's not going to happen to the younger generations unless we do it. Like our kids are obviously going to grow up on great music because we listen to it, but our portion is a lot smaller than the pop loving portion of the world. So I think the teenage crowd is hungry for what we have to offer. We just need to give it to them, like reach out to them. But that's the hardest part is how do we do it? So that's where that's why I find a lot of bands are going on TikTok. But even on their TikTok, you have to do a trendy dance or come up with something weird. Like you have to come up with a unique selling point to get their attention. But once you have it, you've got it.
Yep.
And
We're just gonna get Jason to fucking go on there and twerk or some shit.
Oh yeah.
It's
right,
gonna go viral.
I
It
know,
sounds stupid, but it probably would work, right?
man. Vocal covers and guitar playthroughs. Those are like the key things that I see bands on there doing, and it works really well. Or even just like I find another one is they just like post videos and ask like a video of one of the members pointing at shit, and then they put the words above it and ask what their fans' favorite band is. You know what I mean? It's something simple, but it engages them, and it's that hook line and sinker. It really does capture their attention, and once you have it because they get so intrigued with metal because they're angsty. You know what I mean? Like when you were a kid, when you were a teenager, man, you were fucking hormonal and angsty, and you just wanted to fucking fight and drink and party, and that's what metal is.
Yeah, I still want to fight it through you.
That's what metal is. You know what I mean? So we gotta bring them into it, and I think that that's like that'd be the smartest thing for us as a global community, is at least like every fifth show put on an all ages event, or like try and start hosting like all ages all day
Yeah,
events.
the event that we played this past weekend, they're at the show with Carter as we actually played on the same show with them, and it was an all ages event. We had a couple, I would say about 10, maybe 15 minors show up, so that was pretty cool. That was some of the people that we met that were actually new fans and stuff. So
Right, and that's a victory right there. Like,
Yep.
100%. Because one friend that finds out about you is gonna tell 10 other friends, and that just spreads like wildfire. And
yep, and those are the kids that I hooked up with all the free stickers.
Mm-hmm.
So that they go and be like, yeah, these guys were super nice. They hooked us up with free stickers. Like,
it doesn't
Yeah.
take a lot to make people like you, and I think that, I think a lot of bands kind of just expected it and were like, "Oh, I'm a band, so I'm on stage. You gotta like me."
Yeah.
No, no, not really.
That
'cause-
arrogance is nowhere.
Yeah, I mean, look at Axl Rose. It never worked for him. No one really likes Axl Rose still to this day. So he may be famous, but that's because he's an asshole. So I find it really funny that bands I notice in our scene a lot, like bands will do that. They won't they don't engage the crowd. Like I've noticed that after a show they just kind of go to their table and hang out with their friends. So I always make a point of going around and thanking everybody for coming to the show. It's just I have to. I feel like it's what I need to. They spent money to come see me. You know, even if it's like $2 that they did spend, they spent their money. I gotta appreciate them. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know. I think it's cool that the idea of the industry changing towards a better like a better open world is a good thing because metalheads, like I said to Gabe's band last night, like metalheads have the structure for world peace. It's true. Like we're the most peaceful people, even though we seem angry and scary on stage. Like anyone
That's
needed
where we let it out.
right? Exactly, and that's what makes us peaceful because most people hold it in. You know,
Yep.
they're scared to let that. People are scared of anger. They don't want to. Like they're worried what people are gonna think, and I think
Then
more
they
people.
implode.
Yeah, and like I think the
Yep.
metal mentality of like, fuck you, I don't care what you think. You know, like I think of Rage when
It's
when
liberating.
you know what I mean? Like I think of Zach De La Roca. I'm just like, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me. That's just kind of how
Yeah.
metal was defined in my mind. So that needs to come back in my eyes. Like, yeah, fuck you mentality. It's good. It's good because it gives you that freedom of release. Yeah, I guess that's how I could say it. Like you gotta release the
I know.
beast. You gotta release the beast every now and then. That's the easiest way to do it. Because like if you don't, then
See,
you
it's
get
good for
crazy.
me to fucking get crazy sometimes, bro.
No, don't get. He gets crazy. No.
Yeah, you just pulled a knife out on me. Yep, there you go.
Thanks a lot.
I'm unleashing my fucking beast, bro.
Thanks a lot.
It's metal as fuck. No, if there was, if there
Now
was,
when you're behind the ring, no, it's not.
if there was anything in the music industry that you guys would change, what do you think it would be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes.
Ah,
I guess I mean for me, I know that people really like the how easy it is to just be able to have unlimited, like, you know, you can get Spotify or you can get Apple or whatever, and you have unlimited fucking music. I kind of wish like it was back like the old days where you had to have an actual physical copy in order to hear the whole entire fucking album, because
Like
that's
picking
not,
something out by the album cover, right?
yeah, like
Spinning
just
it,
going to the
yeah.
fucking store, music store, wherever, and going and getting your vinyl or your CD or your cassette, even whatever the fuck it was that you liked, and that being the first time that you actually were exposed to hearing those songs, as opposed to like just opening your phone and being able to fucking, you know, just be able to pull, you know, this song up or whatever. I remember having like a big ass book full of fucking CDs and
Yep,
shit.
yep.
Yep.
You know, that's the only thing. I mean, it's not really something that I would say. It's not really. I mean, I'm happy that music's so easily accessible now, but I do miss that.
Exclusivity.
Yeah, like I miss being able to like you cherished, you know, having a physical copy of an album and
Yes.
stuff. And
Or like-
now,
Yes.
Like
Oh,
they
man.
say on that too. Like, go buy a CD no one else had got because it's the only way you can get is through a CD. And I go check out this fucking band. They never heard it because of the fact that you have to go buy it. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I was the plug. I got that
Yeah,
music
yeah.
for you, bro.
I got that new shit.
I got that new nigga.
Opening up the big old jacket. What you want? What you want? I got anything you need. It's true though.
Yeah, it's good.
My bad.
My favorite fucking feeling is getting a CD, like just owning a CD. I still have albums from bands that I opened up for 15 years ago in my CD collection because you know, you treat them with love. And I think that, like, even I consider love as even if the case is broken, the CD's still there, it's loved. You know what I mean? Like, if it's got scratches because you've listened to it 1,000 times, that's loved.
Yeah.
So,
It's about that physical copy, though.
Mhm.
It's like, again, back when we were younger, you know, you just experience finding new artists, just going to the CD store, record store, wherever you're going, just shuffling through stuff and be like, oh, this is a cool album cover. Let me see what this sounds like. You know, you buy it and take it home and, man, what the hell? That was awesome. You know, it's somebody you've never heard of or anything like that. And just like that, you're turned on to their music.
I did that with the Dark Tranquility CD. That's how I got onto Dark Tranquility. They had a
Nice.
wicked album cover, and I was like, I want to listen to this shit. And then, I fell in love with
I did
it.
That happened to me. My friend actually randomly bought it somewhere, and he's like, dude, you got to check these guys out.
Man,
My
and
first
that's,
one was Pissing Razors.
I missed that
I don't know if you've heard
of who?
Pissing Razors. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're from El Paso, but me and my
I'll
cousin randomly went to a store to buy something. Which like, oh, this looks cool, so we put it in. Blew us away.
I'm writing it down right now on my whiteboard.
They're older. This was probably back in. I had just graduated. It was probably like 98,
I'm still
99.
down to check it out. I love music.
Yeah.
Is there anything
Cast
you guys...
Down the Plague was the album. I still remember it to this day. Cast Down the Plague.
Right? I think my favorite album I ever bought that was like intriguing because of the cover was No Effects, The Heavy Petting Zoo.
Hell yeah.
Like, I love No Effects so much. I'm like such a punk kid at heart. And it's funny because like, right? Like that album cover at 12 years old when all the sexual innuendos are going over my head. And I'm just like, oh, this guy's cuddling a pig. Let's see the songs. Oh, there's a song called Hobophobic. I'm so down. Like, what? Okay, that's how I determined if I liked a CD. This is a song about homeless people. I'm down. This is gonna be awesome. Or a hot dog in a hallway. Like, we all knew what that was about at that age. So, I found it like, I don't know. I love that feeling of finding a new band just because of their album cover, and I love album covers themselves. Like, I think that it's like the coolest concept of being a band. Is when you get to just like design this piece of art that will make people want to listen to your music because it's a visual to an audio, and I don't know, that's just a weird concept and I love it so much, and metal bands tend to capture it so perfectly.
Yeah.
Is there anything you guys want to say before we wrap up?
Hold on, I got a question. Where are you from, bro? Where are you at? Where are you from?
We're from British Columbia.
Columbia, British. Oh,
British.
shit. Okay, nice.
Yeah, we're in
So
Canada.
we had a question today. We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We want to know: is there a difference, or is it the same thing? Hash browns and tater tots.
Hash browns.
Is that the same thing?
Well, I'm an Irishman, so potatoes are amazing either way. I don't care which way they're put. But
We were arguing about this a while ago. So,
a tater tot. A tater tot is like a little. Like, have you seen Napoleon Dynamite?
Yes.
You know what he sticks in his pocket to eat later? That's a tater tot.
Yes.
Yeah, and a hash brown is what McDonald's has, like those flat, round patties.
But would you consider those the same thing?
It's not the same.
It's fried, like it's.
Oh no, it's
fried
totally it's deep fried potatoes.
crispy plates.
It's
So
all,
if you were to get a whole tater tots and smash them all together and make them flat,
That would make shredded hash browns. That would make shredded hash browns, dude.
you could technically mash your tater tots and make mini hash browns, and then it would be the same thing.
Oh, yes.
I'm not gonna accept that.
Sorry,
Sorry,
bro.
The McDonald's hash brown is just a long, flat tater tot.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, basically.
Right tonight. Thanks a lot, guys. You won, dog.
Awesome. When you guys
No.
when you guys deliver your when you guys get ready to drop your new EP or your new album, I'm gonna call it album because anything over 4 songs, 5 songs is an album in my mind. When you guys drop it, let me know and we'll have you back on to the show.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it. I love it.
No worries, guys. You guys stay safe.
Thanks for having us on, bro.
Oh, anytime. You guys stay safe and I'll keep in contact with you.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care, man.
Peace, guys.
I think
Later.
it's
Awesome. Thank you so much.